Wow, that's a big thing of water you're drinking. Holy
You like that?
smokes. Is that Warren's holding, for those of you who are not watching on MSNBC, Warren's holding a really large mason jar of water. My mom used to do mason jars growing up. We used to drink out of those.
Yeah, this is a relatively new thing for us, drinking out of mason jars. We're a mason jar family now.
Oh, do you guys do any pickling?
We don't pickle. We haven't pickled yet. We're just drinking out of them. Baby steps with the mason jars. We're just drinking out of them.
Where'd you get your mason jars from?
Lexi got them, actually. I think she got them from Walmart or Kroger, a local store.
Oh, so they're not like repurposed. They're like...
Oh, no. Does that make us...
Yeah,
does that make us fraudulent mason jar users?
It's not as
cool. You have to
cool.
come across the mason jars naturally and then just integrate them into... Okay, see, we didn't know that.
Yeah.
We thought you just went to the store and bought mason jars.
No. You have some jam.
Okay.
You maybe some of your friends maybe were making some pickles, and they gave you like here's they went like this. Here's the jar of jam, and you go through your jam, and then you say, hey, we're going to use this now as our glass and drink it.
Okay. Well, we didn't do that, so I apologize.
Hey, this is our first podcast since our
it is
our big day.
Wow. That was a big day. A lot of emotions after that big day.
You know what I think the name of this episode should be, which is usually your job. That's usually your job.
Yeah, I just kind of come up with it off the at the moment where I'm posting it. I'm like, what should this be called? And then the first thing that enters my head, that's what it's called. But you have an idea. Here's
the title. There is no podcast. Season 2 episode. What will it be? 16?
I don't know.
5, 7. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah, I think that's probably accurate.
I mean, in a lot of ways. Like, I don't know how much you want to rehash the Craig Kilborn episode. Oh, I feel like our Ryans want to hear a little bit of us breaking it down.
Sure. Also, what else are we going to talk about? What else are we got going on?
Who we're going to go after next? Who our next big fish is? But here's the thing about the Craig Kilborn and about it being all downhill. I think he was the absolute perfect mix of like the kind of person we could ever apparently realistically get on and like fame level. Like there's no way we get anybody else more famous than him on the podcast.
Probably not, no.
But at the same time, like it was like the perfect mix of all these different things that we even got him on to begin with. I don't know. And then also, there's just no way we'll have any guest we ever have on that will be more cool than he was.
Yeah, no, he set a high bar for sure, and it is, going into it, even as we had it scheduled, and we were actually recording it, and even in the moments after recording it, I had in my head that it's crazy that this even happened, that we even got this to even occur is insane. But even how I thought about it before the episode, as we were recording, and immediately afterward, in the days since, I've come to realize that it was even more of a out of left field. How did this even happen situation?
I know. So our friend Scotty Wentworth called me the other night, and man, I think he gave me a good, at least 45-minute breakdown of what he thought about the podcast.
Great.
And he thought it was amazing. His big thing was like he liked Kilborn before, but he left like really liking him now. One thing that he mentioned, so he talked about all these great things with it, and he was like, but I can give you like if you want actual feedback about your interview style or something like that, I can give that to you, but you guys might not even care. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll hear anything. And so
we'll take it.
His one big thing was like at the beginning when Kilborn started talking about, like right off the bat, was talking about how they had a small team at late night, and but they still did really well, blah blah blah. Scott like wanted us to pursue that, but instead he's like, but instead you guys brought up like, hey, why'd you come on our podcast?
I mean, the whole time he would talk, and I'd be tracking with him, and then it would just dawn on me what was going on, and I'd just lose any train of thought that I had, And then he'd finish talking, and I'd think, oh God, it's time to talk now,
Right.
and I don't have anything in my head.
Right. I mean, and I also told Scott, I was like, you're right. That was probably the way to go. But from my perspective, when I'm doing the interview, I was thinking about all the other Jeremiahs out there who are like huge Craig fans, been wanting to hear from him forever. And if I heard that Craig went on these two schmucks podcasts with 20 listeners, I would legit want to know why.
Oh yeah,
why did he go in there? So
and I still don't. I mean, I think ultimately his answer was what we were tagging him in and what he was seeing was funny enough or interesting enough to him to warrant, hey, okay, yeah, like he seemed to really like the fact that we were kind of ribbing him for having a podcast where he only talks about the Timberwolves or practically only talks about the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
So that I think that was it. I mean, that was really and then he just thought, okay, yeah, I'll do it.
Well, or even like say, I mean, when I say this, I want people to know and you to know, I am not in any way, in any world thinking this would ever in a million years happen. But let's just say something crazy happened and like Jay Leno would come on our podcast. There is no way even Jay Leno would have been as cool as Craig was with us.
Yeah, it was the perfect personality type to go into a situation with two nobody dudes who were going to be super nervous about like what was happening, because that's the other thing is he didn't talk down to us ever. No. He didn't he never came off as like above it.
Right.
He literally was having a conversation with just two random dudes, and yeah, it was pretty crazy.
It blows me away. Scott also made another good point, because my big question going into it, if I only had one question, it would have been essentially how much of this is real, like this persona of you. And Scott's opinion, I think I agree, is I feel like his persona and his real life personality are a lot closer than I probably actually guessed, but in a way that like makes me even like him even more, if that makes sense. Because like I truly do think he is just a happy guy, and now having talked to him, it makes like whenever he stepped down for late night, I thought there's got to be another story. There's some story going on where like they were gonna let him go anyway or whatever. But like now, like talking to him for an hour like we did, I'm like, no, I just think he's genuinely a really happy guy. And yeah, he plays up the aristocratic thing on Instagram, but for the most part, like, no, that's actually him. He's just a rare breed of like, I did this thing I wanted to do. I'm not going to chase the fame. I'm not going to chase the money. And I'm just happy and I'm done. Like,
I think he definitely likes those things that he talks about, with his persona, the finer things in life, if you will. But for the persona, it is, as with most personas, it's just a ratcheted up version of things that he finds interesting and that he's into. But yeah, the key to his persona and him as a person, I think, is just that, the fact that he exudes positivity, seems to be a genuinely happy guy. And that's the sort of thing that I think makes it easier for somebody like that to do what he did, do some two dudes random podcast and have a decent time doing it and not overthink it.
Yeah.
The only thing that I could think of that would make the situation better is if down the road, and we've talked about this, he if he ever comes back, if we ever reach out to him and he does come back, certainly I don't think it's something we want to go to the well too often or too early. But I think there's a time and a place, and I think we'll kind of feel it, and we'll know when it's here, where it just makes sense to reach back out again. Hey, Craig, what do you think? Once you come back, join the pod. We'll catch up a little bit, because I think he would potentially be down with it if the situation was right.
I agree that I think he would actually be down with it again if it was on the right circumstances. And you know me, I would love to talk to my hero again. That'd be like the coolest thing. But it was just so perfect that it just never will live up. So maybe I just need to let go of that. But here's the thing, man, like, and maybe this would come across as cheesy or whatever, but I'm just so ridiculously happy that we did it. It was just so cool. Yeah. It just really was, man.
I was actually taking a shower earlier today thinking that this is going to be a thing that only gets better with time. Because I know in the immediate aftermath, again, we've talked about this. I feel like we could have done better. Certainly, I know personally that I was terrified through a good portion of it, but in a good way.
Yeah.
But that makes it. I could have had better questions. We could have followed up on a few things. He mentioned the character thing that he wanted to do with scripted. That we didn't follow up on. So there was a number of things in retrospect that our performance, could have been better. But I think that as we look back on this down the road, it will certainly be something that will be a highlight for sure. Certainly a highlight for this podcast. And I don't know if we'll ever reach those heights again.
No, I don't think so. And maybe this will be my last little point for now is, and this is a little bit of inside baseball for those listening, okay? For the Ryans who are listening, for our wives, for our new super fan, Suzanne, who's listening. I am also incredibly frustrated because Warren and I are trying out a new recording website tonight, and it is perfect.
Is it? Yeah, it seems pretty good.
You haven't skipped on me once. You haven't frozen on me for a single second. And by this point with Craig, we would have had 3 or 4 video freezing up and us not really know what he's saying, and then trying to take context clues and then responding. Oh man, this is whatever this website we're using now is so much better, and I wish we would have known.
Yeah, that was pretty frustrating. I think you got booted out once or twice.
You and I both did, yeah.
Yeah, I got booted out once towards the end. Yeah, it was a mess.
It's a mess.
It's the last thing we needed. But yeah, no, this looks good. The last thing I'll say about it is one last thing about Craig, and he talked a little bit about not being the type to get too personal in the media. He when he's doing his thing, it's the character, and he likes to have the personal stuff be personal with his friends and family. And he mentioned that a few times, but I mean, there were a number of occasions where it felt like he was literally having a conversation like he would have in his den with his friends. Not to say that we're friends, but he was being very yeah, we're friends. He was being very friendly and open. Yeah. And a few of those stories, I just felt like, wow, again, and it only made me more terrified when he got that way. But I loved it, and it was great. Yeah, just another thing that I think, just looking back on, will be like, wow, that was cool. That this guy who we watched growing up through the years ended up having an open and honest conversation with us. I mean, that's what we were looking for. That's what we were asking for. That's what this is all about.
So this is all about.
And he delivered.
Yeah. And now, rest in peace, the Late Late Show just came out yesterday, that after 30 years being canceled. Crazy. So I anticipate those views to go up and up and up, Warren. People are going to be...
They're going to be hunting for it. They're going to be like, what's the most irrelevant bit of this angle for this story? Okay, here's a podcast with Craig Kilborn from two dudes that live in the middle of the country. Nobody knows.
That's right.
So what do we do? Where do we go from here? That's the big question. Now that we've had our moment in the sun, where do we go?
I mean, so this is kind of full circle. Like, our whole podcast started, and our only hook was us talking about what our podcast should be about.
Yeah.
And then the Kilborn thing was totally organic. And then him coming on was mind blowing. And so it's a legit conversation of do we want to keep finding guests and bringing them on, or does this if we just have on our different buddies from now and then, and this one guy who just blows our minds, and then we don't even or do we turn it into a podcast where you and I are just constantly trying to find our childhood heroes, and I think that'd be kind of fun too. But
yeah, and I think we can do a little bit of all that. I don't know if we necessarily want to. With Craig, it kind of came up organically, and then we started making these little pitches to him, and then created little snippets of videos that we were sending to him. I don't know if we necessarily want to do that, because that doesn't feel natural, right? To be like, all right, who's the next person that we're going to organically talk about? So, that doesn't feel right. And I know we've each reached out to a few different people of varying levels of celebrity to see if they'd be interested in being on the podcast, and have not heard anything.
No.
And I think this might be part of the reason why I said earlier, I'm more and more beginning to realize how much of a just shooting star this was.
Right.
With Craig coming on. But yeah, I think I would enjoy. I enjoyed having Brad on. I thought that was a fun time having that conversation. So yeah, bringing on different people I think would be fine, even if they're not famous, even if they're not at the level of a Craig Kilborn, friends and family. And then like what we're doing right now, if there are occasions where it's just you and me talking, I think that's fine as well. We can have it all, Jeremiah.
Here's what
we can have it all.
Here's what I want to do. I'll monitor this one. Our next segment. We're just because we're always honest. We're gonna hash out. Maybe not hash out. You and I are gonna throw some names up against the wall.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take turns. You're gonna go first, then I'm gonna go. You're gonna go, then I'm gonna go. You're gonna go, then I'm gonna go. So you're gonna name somebody that you know personally that you think might be interesting on the podcast, and you pitch it to me. And then I'll name somebody that I know personally. I'll pitch it to you, and let's go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Go.
Okay. These are people we know personally, not celebrities.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I'm going to clarify there. Okay.
That's right.
Well, you had mentioned Scott Wentworth, and when you told me that you had talked to Scott, I said Scott would be a great podcast guest. And I haven't talked to Scott in, my goodness, years. It's similar to Brad, probably, as far as how long ago it's been since I've talked to Scott. So that would be that'd be
where you start.
Yeah.
That's good. I mean, I talk to Scott every day. I mean,
do you really?
through textual message.
Oh,
yes.
okay. SMS. Yeah. You're talking about SMS.
That's right.
Okay.
Actually, so my next one is going to be somebody you had mentioned, but I agree would be my son and I's barber, Hector Terraforte.
Yeah.
I think Hector would be a fascinating guy. He was, I think I mentioned in the podcast, I brought him up because I was saying he would actually have a really cool podcast if he wanted to. No doubt in my mind it'd be a successful podcast, like a local podcast, I think, just because everybody knows him and he knows everybody. But he is a super interesting guy. He's half Puerto Rican, half, oh gosh, he's going to kill me, half Puerto Rican, half African American. Oh, I don't know.
Well, see, this is something he can clarify.
Listen, he can clarify. I should know this. Yeah. I know for a fact he's half Puerto Rican. Grew up in San Diego, then Chicago. Played some college baseball. I got the coolest hair anywhere, and just a really cool, interesting guy. So I think Hector would be fun to get on.
Yeah, no, he seems like a affable guy from what I've heard from you. I've been thinking also about normies. We'll call them normies, non-celebrities.
Right? Non-celebrities, right? Yeah.
And I think it'd be funny if we had somebody like my dentist, or just people in our orbit, that we interact with occasionally. Yeah, the person that is often at the Kroger when you check out and you're kind of friendly and you'll occasionally, oh hey, it's you again, good to see you. Hey, you want to be on my podcast? People like that, I think, would be interesting people to have on.
I love that.
If they were idea. Game for it.
Maybe somebody at your Dunkin' Donuts in Washington.
I don't go there very often. Also, that would kind of make it a teenager, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if we want to have a teenager. Fair. I mean, good.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I like that idea. I'll let you be the one to ask those people.
I would have to. It'd have to be the right situation. And I'm not the kind of person to. I never want to put anybody out.
Right.
So it would be. I feel like I would struggle to really find that person that I felt that fit that mold, that I felt comfortable asking. Yeah. Hey, do you want to be on my podcast?
Yeah, that's taking the relationship up.
It is. Yeah.
Just so many levels. And you also make sure you don't do almost feel like they're feeling like, wait, am I part of a joke here?
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of like a people. What's the People of New York? What's that?
Where the guy just goes up to folks and He kind of gets a quick deep dive into their story. Yeah,
right,
something like that. Those are usually kind of sad stories, aren't they?
I guess.
Or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misremembering that. My wife was following that account for quite some time, and maybe she'd just show me the ones that were especially sad, and she never showed me the nice ones.
Yeah. Well, those are usually the ones that go more viral, or the ones with sad stories. Did you ever remember back in the day, there was a book called Post Secrets? Did you ever see this book?
It sounds familiar.
It's kind of crazy.
Secrets.
So this
I don't know
guy,
if I'm thinking of Post Cereal, though. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Different.
Oh, okay.
Different. Two different brands. Yeah.
Okay.
So this author would encourage people, say, hey, send a postcard with a secret that you have that nobody else knows, and mail it to me at this P.O. box. And so it's this whole book of these people who have like written on a postcard, and sometimes they'll like decorate it really interestingly or do it artistically, but just like sending this guy these deepest, darkest secrets. And it's like, it's some of it's hilarious, and some of it is just like so ridiculously sad.
Yeah, I think I have seen this. Yeah,
it's
people kind of emptying their hearts to this random or to this unknown guy anonymously, obviously. I think I have seen that. Yeah.
All right, my next person. This man, she came out of left field. All right. My cousin Suzanne.
Yeah.
I told you, Warren, earlier. So she works at the State Department. She has been all over the world, stationed as a diplomat, and so she's been in Iraq during the war, if my memory serves correct. One of her Christmas cards when she was doing that to the family was like, "Hey, Merry Christmas from Suzanne in Iraq," and it was like Suzanne like in her business attire for the State Department, and then she had about 10 to 15 of her private security detail like around her. So like she had this security detail just looked after her. It's all these like non-army contract guys with like their semi-automatics like all standing around. My cousin was kind of crazy. So she lives in DC right now. Recently started listening to the podcast, and it's like
she's
she's starting from the beginning. Like she said it's not right for me to hop in and listen to skip straight to the Craig Kilborn episode.
She's a completist. Yeah.
She's starting from the beginning. She's like on episode 6 or 7. She said she was listening on the airplane. And so I feel like she's a super fan like that deserves a good look. And then she'd be super interesting. I have a lot of, she was the a personal aide to Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's the other thing is it seems like about once every couple of weeks you drop on me an anecdote about a family member of yours or somebody that you know that has like the most interesting life and job. Like the State Department, there's somebody that you know that was working with Conan O'Brien recently.
Yeah, that's her brother.
Don't you have that's her brother? Don't you you have an uncle that was responsible for photographing most of the baseball cards from like the 80s and 90s, right?
That's her dad. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Can we just have the entire family on?
Actually, that would be awesome. They are man, they'll be tickled to hear this when I send them this little part. I have some cousins on my mom's side who I don't really know. But then my dad, these are my only cousins on my dad's side. So it's my dad's sister. Mm-hmm. And so Aunt Carol and Uncle Tony. Uncle Tony is this guy.
There he is. He's grabbing a little. What is he grabbing? What is this? It's a bobblehead. That's Weird Al.
This is my Uncle Tony. Your
Uncle Tony's Weird Al Yankovic?
Nope, he's not Weird Al. This is Uncle Tony from the 80s. In the 80s, he had a legit afro.
That's amazing. That's amazing hair.
And he plays to this day. Still plays men's softball.
He has his own bobblehead. Did he make that?
His kids made it for, I'm guessing, a birthday, and they gave one to me because I basically begged them for it. So this is like one of my favorite things. So my uncle, so my aunt, Carol, Uncle Tony, love them. They're amazing. Uncle Tony, was the baseball card photographer. Before that, the team photographer for the White Sox. And Carol did a whole bunch of stuff. She taught at a college. She wrote textbooks, like math textbooks. And so like one time she even like wrote me and my little brother into like a problem. It was like Jeremiah has 5 Cardinals cards and 6 Red Sox cards, and Jordan had like one of those. And then they have 2 kids, and one of them is a diplomat for the State Department, and the other one created Disney Plus. So that's all they do.
That's it.
That's it.
They just, rule the world.
Man, now you got me going. I think having Uncle Tony and my Aunt Carol on would be a blast. They're a hoot and a half.
Oh yeah.
They would be a lot of fun. So actually, like Suzanne might have just gotten bumped back behind her mom and dad because they'd be a lot of fun to have on. So
well, that's only fair.
Yeah.
Well, that's. I think we've got a lot of potential guests. I don't think we would be short of guests. The guest list is long.
Yeah.
So I think we'll mull this over, and we haven't even mentioned the Ryans. We haven't even mentioned bringing a Ryan on.
Right. The Ryan and Muhammad here deserves to be on. He deserves it. He's stuck with us through thick and thin. He's the one that's he's written us letters, put them in the mail. I'm pretty sure the other Ryan kind of dropped off.
Oh no.
I think maybe not. Maybe not. But I definitely, I mean,
that.
Yeah, I know. But we'll get him back. Him back.
Okay. Certainly he came back for Craig.
I would hope so. Hope so. But okay.
Well, we're approaching. We got a little. See, this is another good thing about StreamYard as compared to Riverside. We have a little timer, little bug in the top left here, telling me that we're about 30 minutes into this episode.
But if StreamYard StreamYard would like to sponsor us, we would be happily go back to StreamYard. Yeah. So we're not totally bashing StreamYard right now.
No. Well, StreamYard's what we're on now. We were on.
Or
Riverside.
I'm sorry. I meant if Riverside wants to. Yeah,
Riverside. If you want to beef up your infrastructure and streaming capabilities, especially when very important podcast guests are on podcasts, then we'll consider coming back. But until then, we're sticking with StreamYard. Yeah,
I think StreamYard wins. This was nice. When Aunt Carol and Uncle Tony come on, it's StreamYard.
It's StreamYard. StreamYard, your podcast for the important ones.